So many years ago, right after I graduated from college, I had some idea that I wanted to pursue a career in the creative field, but I didn't know what that was. I didn't know the specifics of that. I felt kind of lost and confused about how to direct my life. And so I went around trying to find some mentors to provide advice, suggestions, and feedback so I could have some better knowledge or better feeling about what my path was going to be. So one of my mentors asked me, "Are you living in your truth?" And I never forgot this question because I felt that there was a heaviness, a deep, profound meaning to this question. And I couldn't answer it for myself because I was lost, I was confused, I didn't know what direction I wanted to take with my life. And secondly, I wasn't mature enough. I didn't have enough wisdom at that time to really understand what that means. Are you living in your truth? And so I never forgot that question. And at the time, I decided that living in my truth, I answered it superficially for myself, that living in my truth meant that I was an honest person. I made good moral decisions. I did right by society. I did right by my family. I did right by my friends. I did right by this planet. That's what I thought living in my truth really meant. And that was a very superficial answer to this really profound question. And so over the years, I kept hearing this phrase, "Are you living in your truth?" You know, people use it like a buzz phrase, like a buzz slogan, "Are you living in your truth?" And so when my late sister's son passed away, I really felt at that moment that I had to face that question in a more profound way, because I always felt that my sister died of stress and unhappiness. And part of the reason why I felt she died of stress and unhappiness was because I believed that she wasn't living in her truth. And so at that point, I had to really discover for myself what that really meant. What that really meant. And it wasn't until I created Yin and Yang Living, you know, this spiritual and holistic living blog to promote healthy, happy, and spiritual living in honor of my late sister's son, that I started to understand what that meant to live in my truth, because I felt that yin and yang living was part of my soul's path, was part of the contract I had with spirit to fulfill a higher purpose and mission in this physical plane. And so that's when I started to really understand the depth and profound meaning of living in my truth, is to understand that our soul has a path. It has information. It has a contract with spirit that tells us, that informs us of what purpose and mission we have in this physical plane. So speaking of living in the truth, I know that the truth of each and every one of us is a soul that has come into this physical form in order to have physical experiences for the expansion and growth of our soul. You know, our soul is part and parcel with this entire universe that is eternally expanding and growing as we speak. The universe never stops expanding and growing, and the soul is the same. It is part and parcel of the universe. We are one with the universe, and the universe is one with us. So each and every one of us is a unique soul coming into this physical form to have unique life experiences in order to have lessons for the expansion and growth of our soul. So some of us may need to learn the lesson of unconditional love, to have unconditional love for ourselves and for others, to have unconditional self-love, self-worth. Some of us come into this physical form to learn the lesson of compassion, to have compassion for ourselves, to have compassion for others. Some of us may come into this physical form to learn the lesson of what it really means to be one with the universe, to be one with spirit. Some of us come into this physical form to learn the lesson of to be able to surrender and release, to be able to let go of anything, to be able to surrender and release to the infinite wisdom and love of God and this universe. So there are many different reasons why our soul come into this physical form, and the reasons are very unique and special. They are different for each soul. And so because each soul is very uniquely different, when we come into this physical plane, we are here, our higher purpose becomes different for each and every one of us. So it gets manifested in our profession in a different way. So some of us, our soul is uniquely here to fulfill a higher purpose by being a teacher, or for others it's by being a doctor, or for others it might be an entertainer, or for others it might be a writer, or for others it might be an engineer. So because our soul is so unique, that our life path here in this physical plane and how it manifests in our profession, in our careers, in our job, in our work is uniquely different. It's all oranges and apples. One is not better than the other. So our main job in this physical plane is to find our higher purpose and calling in life and to fulfill it. And that is when we live in our truth. So the wisdom of living in our truth means to live on our soul's path. And the beauty about our soul is that it already knows what the path is. We just have to connect with it. We just have to access it on this physical plane. So when we are confused about what we're supposed to do, what our soul's path is, we're just not accessing it. It's already there. The soul already knows the road to where it should be going. It knows exactly what road to take, what signs to look for, what path to go on. It knows it already. It's infinitely wise. And so when we get confused about what we're supposed to do, how we're supposed to direct our life, is because we're disconnected from our soul. We're not connected to that infinite part of us, that infinite intelligent part of us. It's a disconnection. And so when we become disconnected, the picture looks like this. I mean, this is us. We're standing right here, the path to our soul, we're standing, but oftentimes we're confused about what direction to go, right? When we're confused about what direction we need to go is because we're not connected to the infinite part of us. And so we're standing right here in the crossroad, and oftentimes what happens when we're confused, we listen to the white noise of society. We listen to the white noise of society, meaning what our parents tell us to do, what our friends tell us to do, what society tells us to do, what corporate America tells us to do. We're listening to the white noise of our society, and so then we make a decision based on what other people say to us, what other people want for us. You know, oftentimes our parents might be living, through us, and they're pressuring us to do something that we don't want to do a profession that we don't feel really genuinely and authentically is the truth of who we are, right? But oftentimes we mistakenly take that road. And I believe it's the road that is most traveled. The road that is most traveled is the road of this white noise of society. And so because there's so much pressure, there's so much influence of society on us, oftentimes we take this road. But this road is really not the road of our higher purpose and calling. It's not the road of our truth. The road of our truth is always our soul's path. And it takes a real individual way of seeing yourself, a real individual way of feeling confident that my soul has my back, the universe has my back. It takes a certain individual confidence, self-worth, self-love to take what I call the road less traveled. It takes courage. It takes faith. It takes the ability to surrender and release to the infinite wisdom of this universe, that the universe will guide you. It takes a lot of faith because, you know, this is the road less traveled, and so you need a lot of faith, right? This road is based on fear. When we have fear and fear is placed upon us, we listen to the white noise of society. This road requires courage. It requires faith. It requires the ability to surrender and release to the infinite wisdom within yourself and around you. The universe will always have your back. Your universe will always bring you all of the cooperative components to fulfill your soul's mission, your soul's higher purpose. And so this is what I often see is many of us taking the road most traveled. And I've done it myself, and I see it a lot of times with family, friends. I see it everywhere. And so this is the reason why I feel like it is so important to be able to connect with our soul. Because as we keep connecting more and more each day, we start to feel confident, feel the courage, have the faith to take the road less traveled to what our soul already knows to fulfill our higher purpose and live in our truth. So for example, let's say your soul's path is to be a writer and you're going to help others through storytelling, and your stories are going to resonate with people and help people transform their lives. But your parents, you know, who have fear, are pressuring you to be a doctor. And there's nothing wrong with being a doctor because some people's soul's path is to become a doctor. So there's nothing wrong with becoming a doctor or any of those, what we consider a secure profession. And I understand why parents may pressure you to want you to do those professions because they have fear and they feel like becoming a writer may not be secure, you may not be able to make a living. I understand that because I come from an Asian family, you know, Asian culture is all about security. So I understand that, but if your soul's path is to be a writer and you become a doctor, at best, you're going to become a mediocre doctor. You're not going to become the best doctor, and therefore, as a mediocre doctor, you're not really serving people. You're not really serving your patients, right? You have to be on your soul's path to really take the true talent that your soul is giving you, the true talent that you have, and to use it to serve others on this physical plane. And so that's the problem of when we don't become, or when we don't stay on our soul's path, or we're not on our soul's path, is that we choose professions that really do not highlight who we are. And therefore, we are not living in the truth of who we are. So it took me many years to figure out the profound meaning of living on our truth, which means to live on our soul's path. So if you have a story or experience about living on your soul's path, or maybe you're not living on your soul's path, please share your feedback, comments, stories, and experiences with us because it really helps me and my community at large. And if you like this video, please make sure to share it and subscribe to my channel. And if you want to visit all of my spiritual and holistic living tips, just go to my website at yinandyangliving.com. Namaste.